So we begin now the 12th day for the total consecration to Jesus through Mary, according to St. Louis de Montfort. After having laid bare and condemned the false devotions to the Most Holy Virgin, we must, in a few words, characterize the true devotion. He's going to give 5 points. It must be 1, interior, 2, tender, 3, holy, constant, and disinterested. True devotion to Our Lady is interior. That is to say, it comes from the spirit and the heart. It flows from the esteem we have of her, the high idea we have formed of her greatness, and the love which we have for her. So it's something really chosen from the heart, that flows from the heart, as opposed to being forced somehow from the outside. 2, it is tender. That is to say, full of confidence in her. And this, if any of you felt scared or confused by his words where he was talking about the dangers of being presumptuous, and we can't just count that because we say certain prayers, things are guaranteed, this gives the other side of the coin. It is tender. That is to say, full of confidence in her, like a child's confidence in his loving mother. This confidence makes the soul have recourse to her in all its bodily or mental necessities, with simplicity, with much simplicity, trust, and tenderness. It implores the aid of its good mother at all times, in all places, and about all things. In its doubts, that it may be enlightened. In its wanderings, that it may be brought into the right path. In its temptations, that it may be supported. In its weaknesses, that it may be strengthened. In its falls, that it may be lifted up. In its discouragements, that it may be cheered. In its scruples, that they may be taken away. In its crosses, toils, and disappointments of life, that it may be consoled under them. In a word, in all its evils of body and mind, the soul's ordinary refuge is in Mary, without fearing to be importunate to her or to displease Jesus Christ. 3, true devotion to Our Lady is holy. That is to say, it leads the soul to avoid sin and to imitate in the Blessed Virgin, particularly her profound humility. And he's going to give now what he feels are the 10 key virtues of Our Lady. So it's holy, it leads the soul to avoid sin, and to imitate in the Blessed Virgin, particularly her profound humility, her lively faith, her continual prayer, her universal mortification, her divine purity, her ardent charity, her heroic patience, her angelic sweetness, and her divine wisdom. These are the 10 principal virtues of the Most Holy Virgin. True devotion to Our Lady is constant. It confirms the soul in good, and it does not let it easily abandon its spiritual exercises. It makes it courageous in opposing the world in its fashions and maxims, the flesh in its weariness and passions, and the devil in his temptations, so that a person truly devout to our Blessed Lady is neither changeable, irritable, scrupulous, nor timid. It is not that such a person does not fall, or change sometimes in the sensible feeling of devotion, or in the amount of devotion itself. But when he falls, he rises again by stretching out his hand to his good mother. If he loses the taste and relish of devotion, he does not disturb himself because of that. For the just and faithful client of Mary lives on the faith of Jesus and Mary, and not on sentiments and sensibilities. Lastly, true devotion to our Blessed Lady is disinterested. That is to say, it inspires the soul not to seek itself, but God only, and God and His Holy Mother. A true client of Mary does not serve that august Queen, from a spirit of lucre and interest, nor for its own good, whether temporal, corporal, or spiritual, but exclusively because she merits to be served, and God alone in her. He does not love Mary precisely because she does him good, or because he hopes in her, but because she is so worthy of love. It is on this account that he loves and serves her as faithfully in his disgusts and drynesses as in his sweetnesses and sensible fervors. He loves her as much on Calvary as at the marriage of Cana. That is, if we find ourselves on Calvary in great distress, or we find ourselves at Cana in celebration, he loves Our Lady just as much. Oh, how such a client of our Blessed Lady, who has no self-seeking in his service of her, is agreeable and precious in the eyes of God and of his Holy Mother. But in these days, how rare is such a sight! It is that it may be less rare. It is so that it may be less rare that I have taken my pen to put on paper what I have taught in public and in private during my missions for many years. That's why he's about to explain now this heart of the true devotion. And so before reading the last couple of paragraphs for today, those 2 points of being true devotion to Our Lady is disinterested. It loves her, not even because of what I'll gain spiritually. It loves her because of who she is and her goodness and she's wonderful as our mother, and I love her and I want to make her happy. And that is the key to so many things, to avoiding the waves and ups and downs and falls or scrupulosity or excessive fear or so many things, is that disinterested love for Our Lady. I have now said many things about the Holy Virgin, but I have many more to say, and there are infinitely more which I shall omit, whether from ignorance, inability, or want of time, in the design which I have to form a true client of Mary and a true disciple of Jesus Christ. Oh, but my labor will have been well expended if this little writing, falling into the hands of a soul of good dispositions, a soul well born, born of God and of Mary, and not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, should unfold to him, and should, by the grace of the Holy Ghost, inspire him with the excellence and the price of that true and solid devotion to our Blessed Lady, which I am going presently to describe. If I knew that my guilty blood could serve in engraving upon anyone's heart the truths which I am writing in honor of my true and sovereign mistress, I would use my blood instead of ink to form the letters, in the hope to find some good souls who, by their fidelity to the practice which I teach, shall compensate to my dear mother and mistress for the losses which she has suffered through my ingratitude and infidelities. I feel myself more than ever animated to believe and to hope all which I have had deeply engraved upon my heart, and have asked of God these many years, namely, that sooner or later the Blessed Virgin shall have more children, servants, and slaves of love than ever, and that by this means Jesus Christ, my dear Master, shall reign more in hearts than ever. I clearly foresee that raging beasts shall come in fury to tear with their diabolical teeth this little writing and him whom the Holy Ghost has made use of to write it, or at least to smother it in the silence of a coffer, that it may not appear. They shall even attack and persecute those who shall read it and carry it out in practice. But what matter? On the contrary, so much the better. This very foresight encourages me and makes me hope for a great success. That is to say, for a great squadron of brave and valiant soldiers of Jesus and Mary, of both sexes, to combat the world, to combat the devil, and to combat corrupted nature in those more than ever perilous times which are about to come. He who reads, let him understand. And so it is that St. Louis de Montfort begins this great teaching on the heart of what can truly transform any one of our lives much more quickly than any other devotion. And so I'll leave you with that today to ask. You can ask St. Louis de Montfort, I haven't said that yet, but ask him throughout your day to begin helping you interiorly, to begin entering into this devotion which is interior, tender, holy, constant, and disinterested. God bless all of you. I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the Holy Rosary.